Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Q2 FY22 results conference call of Escorts Limited, hosted by Emkay Global Financial Services. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions at the end of today's presentation. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Raghunandan NL of Emkay Global Financial Services. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you, Rituja. Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome the management and thank them for this opportunity. We have with us today Mr. Bharat Madan, Group Chief Financial Officer and Corporate Head, Mr. Shenu Agarwal, CEO, Escorts Agri Machinery, Mr. Ajay Mandar, CEO, Escorts Construction Equipment, Mr. Ankur Dev, Chief Executive, Railway Product Division, and Investor Relations Team of Escorts Limited. I shall now hand over the call to the management for opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Raghu. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you all for joining us on the earnings call for the second quarter and half year 30 September 2021. We trust each of you and your families are safe and healthy. Few highlights of our company's standalone performance for second quarter ended September 2021 are as follows. Revenue from operations during the quarter was up by 1.4% at rupees 1,662.3 crore as against rupees 1,639.7 crore in previous fiscal. Construction equipment business and railway product segments continued to outperform. Segmental revenue growing by 58.8% and 6.2% respectively, while agri machinery segment revenue came down by 6.1% on year-on-year basis. On sales volume front, tractor sales volume came down by 13.8% to 21,073 tractors as against 24,441 tractors last year same quarter. Whereas construction equipment volume went up by 30.8% to 1,074 machines as against 821 machines last year same quarter. EBITDA for the quarter ended September 2021 at rupees 210.1 crores, down by 30.2% as against 300.9 crores last year same quarter. EBITDA margin for Q2 stands at 12.6% as against 18.3% last year same quarter. The margins have been adversely impacted by commodity prices, inflation as well as lower sales volume in tractor segment. Company continues to be net debt free with sufficient available liquidity for growth. Even though there has been temporary working capital build up in H1 in preparing for the festive season and to avoid any possible supply chain disruption due to COVID, as we saw last year, the same will be corrected in the coming months. PBT at 237.4 crores as against 307.8 crores last year same quarter. Net profit at rupees 176.7 crores as against 229.9 crores last year same quarter. On consolidated basis, financial performance for first half ended September 2021 is as follows. Revenue from operations was up by 23% year-on-year at 3,375.6 crores. EBITDA at 446.7 crores is up by 6.3% year-on-year. Net profit at 351.9 crores is up by 10% year-on-year. EPS stands at 35.75 as against 35.10 last year same period. Moving on to segmental business performance, starting with the agri machinery business. The domestic tractor industry volume went down by 10.6% to 2.11 lakh tractors as compared to 2.36 lakh tractors in last year's same quarter. This is primarily attributed to very low rainfall for about 3 weeks in July and August, and thereafter heavy and continuous rains in September, affecting the delay of the sowing and harvesting cycle of the current Rabi crop. This phenomenon has also delayed the seasonal and peak tractor market demand by about 3 to 4 weeks this year. Our domestic sales volume at 18,950 tractors went down by 18.2% as against 23,156 tractors in last year's same quarter. During the quarter, industry in our strong regions of North and Central India was down by 19%, whereas industry in our opportunity regions of South and Western India was down only by 3%. So this resulted in overall domestic market share in H1 of 9.9% as compared to that of 10.2% last year same period. Our dealer inventory level in terms of number of days of sales continues to be lower than the industry average. Our total dealer count in India now stands at 1100 plus, with most of our new dealers coming up in the southern and western regions. Our market share in our opportunity market continues to be on the rise. As far as 40 plus HP sales is concerned, our sales share in this segment in first half this fiscal year has been 61.1%, a bit higher than industry share of 60.9%. 2 years ago in the same period, our sales share in this segment was 47% as against industry share of 54.3%. This quantum leap in higher HP tractor sales for us is on account of new product launches in these segments as well as on account of our better penetration in the southern and western markets. The industry of Indian tractor exports was up in this quarter by 55.2% to reach the level of 35,600 tractors as compared to 23,000 tractors in last year's same quarter. Our export volume went up by 65.2% to our ever highest quarterly volume of 2,123 tractors as against 1,285 tractors in the same quarter last year. This is driven by our continuous focus on new product development and on expanding our distribution network through new channel partners. Sales through Kubota's global network is also gradually increasing. Segment revenue went down by 6.1% at 1,240.9 crore as against 1,322.2 crore in corresponding quarter previous fiscal. EBIT margins for agri machinery business stood at 15.1% as against 20% last year in Q2 and 15.6% in Q1, adversely impacted by steep inflation in commodity prices and lower volumes. As we enter the festive season, overall rural sentiments are positive on account of good rainfall, expected good yield and crop production, higher crop MSPs and better retail finance availability. For full year, we are projecting industry to be around plus minus 2-3% of last year's numbers. Inflation continues unabated and is putting a pressure on our margins. Coming to the construction equipment business, our served industry comprising backhoe loaders, pick and carry cranes and compactors went down by 15% in Q2, led by degrowth in backhoe loader industry by 22% on account of BS3 to BS4 transition, whereas compactors industry grew by 12% and crane industry has been the biggest gainer in Q2 with growth of 19% plus. But growth continues more towards price-sensitive Hydra segment. Our total volumes, manufactured and traded products, went up by 30.8% to 1,074 machines as against 821 machines in last year's same quarter. Our performance in crane and backhoe loader is better than industry, resulting in market share gain of 500 basis points plus in crane segment and 110 basis point gain in backhoe loader segment. Segment revenue went up by 58.4% at 249.2 crores as against 156.9 crores in corresponding quarter of previous fiscal. EBIT margin went up by 185 basis points at 3.6% as against 1.7% in corresponding quarter previous year. We are anticipating strong equipment demand in second half of FY22 starting from October 21 in line with the trend seen during last fiscal year. The demand is also likely to get a boost from government push on infrastructure projects and due to long tail of projects under execution and substantial increase in new projects being awarded. Our optimism for recovery in this segment remains intact. Also, per day execution target of road projects in FY22 at 40 kilometers per day compared to last year 37 kilometers per day is expected to increase equipment penetration further. Equipment segment to grow in mid-teens and margins for the segments to improve further, led by our various operating matrices and break-even point reduction. However, inflation continues to be an area of concern. Coming to the railway equipment division, revenue for the second quarter went up by 6.2% to our highest ever quarterly revenue of 170.2 crores as against 160.2 crores in corresponding quarter. Sales from new products now contribute 64% to total division sales as against 58% last year corresponding quarter. EBIT margin for the quarter ended September 2021 stood at 17.3% as against 20.3% in corresponding period last year and 14.6% in Q1. We are now witnessing good traction in tendering process, and order book for the division at the end of September 2021 was more than 310 crores. For FY22, we expect railway equipment segment to grow in mid-teens, and margins for the segment are likely to be maintained between 16 to 18%. Now I request the moderator to open the floor for Q&A.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Mitul Shah from Reliance Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you for giving opportunity and congratulations on a good set of numbers, sir. Sir, my question is on tractor volume guidance of plus or minus 2-3%. So more or less we are expecting flat volume for full year. So first half growth of around 12-13%. So then balance period we are expecting decline in the range of 5-7%. And can you give more details in terms of geography-wise for us, whether you expect growth or decline from our weaker markets or stronger markets? So basically I want to understand how your market share will pan out based on the geographical distribution of growth or decline.
Yeah, Mitul, good afternoon, and thank you for the question. This is Shenu Agarwal. So Mitul, yes, I mean quarter one was unprecedented growth of roughly 38-39%, and but quarter two, as you know, we have some industry decline. Quarter three and quarter four also, we are expecting a decline in the overall market, and the reasons we know that. Firstly, we are operating on a high base, and of course, there was a lot of pent-up demand last year in quarter three and quarter four as well, so some of it. So H2 therefore will be a slight decline, but overall for the year, because this year is exactly not comparable with last year, quarter on quarter, because of various disruptions last year and this year related to COVID and supply chain issues. But overall, for a year, as Bharat said, we are expecting plus minus 2 or 3% industry year on year. So that is our estimate for H2 in the whole year. Geographically, yes, the market in south and west is growing much faster than the markets where we are strong, which is north, central, and some parts of the eastern India. While the average industry growth is roughly 10% in H1, but the markets, our strong markets, which is north and central eastern India, were pretty much flat as compared to last year. I'm talking about H1. While the market in where we are weaker, relatively weaker, they grew by roughly 21%. And, the reason, this is not the first time this is happening. This happens once in a while, that south and west grow stronger, and we know the reasons why it happens. This time specifically, it is just because the way monsoon has panned out in last 18 months, like last 2 monsoons have been quite good in south and west, and that is why we are seeing the upsurge in demand there. while in the north we have had some issues with the rainfall, north and central. Like Bharat explained, in July, which was kind of the peak sowing season when the rains were required, we had a kind of hiatus in the monsoon for about 3 weeks. Right, and similarly, some late rainfall has put some problems in terms of delaying of the harvest and also some damage to the crops. So that is how the geographical spread is right now, which of course is not favoring us at the moment. As far as market share is concerned, Nikhil, of course, Escorts is a very unique company or a brand in the sense that we have uneven distribution of market shares traditionally. We are very, very strong in certain parts or certain states of the country with market shares above 15-16%. And in some of the areas, we are still very, very weak. Although we are trying to change that situation in the last 3 years, and hopefully in future we will be successful in changing that situation. But right now, of course, we are in that situation. And therefore, whenever South and West markets grow more than North, Central and East, our overall market share does not look very bright. And therefore, our request always is to look at state-wise market shares and not just the all India market share. And I'm happy to say that if you look at state-wise market shares for H1 and compare it with H1 of last fiscal year, then out of 16 or 17 major states, I think our market shares are up in 13 out of those 16 states, right? Which is
again the question on the second half indication that as we know that last year October retail was somewhere around 150-155,000. This time it would be at the max 120 kind of a number.
Sorry to interrupt. The line of the management got disconnected. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay connected while we reconnect the management. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for patiently holding your line. The management line is reconnected. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes, sir. My question is again on the second half projection. That for example, this October last year retail would have somewhere around 1,55,000. This year we expect roughly 115 to 120 possibly. So even if I assume some inventory correction and wholesale number roughly 100 to 105, it is almost 10% decline for October on a very higher base number. Q4, as we know that last year Q4 was almost 20% higher than the past few years average. So there also double-digit decline is very much possible. Inventory in the system is also quite high. Particularly for us, our growing market, our stronger market of UP, we are declining by 30-40% in this month. So in this situation, sir, if I do this calculation, industry number comes roughly -5% or even slightly higher decline. So that's why I'm not able to understand in what case it can be like a plus or minus 2% or a plus 2-3% growth, sir.
Okay, Nikhil, this is Shenu again. See, there are a couple of things which remain to be seen in the market, right? So your estimates are more or less okay for October, but we have to keep in mind that because this was a very, very typical year, right? Because the sowing and harvesting cycle has been delayed this year quite a lot, right? So when there was a peak time of sowing, at that time we did not get much rainfall, and therefore the entire sowing cycle got delayed, which had a bearing on the harvesting also, a delay in harvesting. Now, as we speak, normally, Navratra to Dussehra is a great period for tractor industry. But as you said, the Navratra to Dussehra period was not as bright as, it would normally be. And the main reason for that was that this whole disturbance in the cycle of sowing and harvesting the Rabi crop. Now, of course, there has been some damage because of the late monsoons. But the situation is still, I think, on the ground is very positive. So let us not, I would suggest, let us not think that everything is gone, because we are seeing still a positive sentiment on the ground. We are still seeing a lot of customers who have not come out so far because of these delays, but they would come out in November. And right now, I think stocks and almost the entire industry is hoping that November should be a very, very good November, starting from Wednesday. So we still maintain that we might end up with plus minus 2 to 3% from the last year base.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So just last thing on the construction equipment side, can you share new break-even point after this price increase and product mix change, and what could be the likely margins in next 1 or 2 years?
We will take this call. Yeah, sure. So I think the break-even now, obviously, inflation has been one of the concerns. Otherwise, we are quite coming to quite low number on the break-even. But with obviously inflation, some changes happened. So we still expect adding around 250 machines a month. I think it is average. But I think it all also depends on what makes you sell, in those machines. But yeah, this is the sort of number I think it should be there for us to reach a break-even number. And we expect the segment margin, I think on full year basis, within the range of 4 to 5% on the full year basis. So which means normally in last 6 months, the margins are better, where you see very good volume traction happening in the later part of the year in second half, where you have 6 to 7% plus margin coming in to give you the overall average.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address questions from all participants, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. If you have a follow-up question, you may rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Dinesh Gandhi from Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. My question pertains to tractors. So when we are saying plus minus 2-3% growth outlook for tractors, this is after factoring in for any recovery in the non-farm sales for tractors, or that is also under pressure?
Dinesh, you were talking about non-farm sales, right?
Right.
Yeah. So non-farm sales was quite subdued last year, as we all know. And last year's growth was primarily because of upsurge in the demand from the pure agri sector or kind of mixed sector. Right, but so this year, of course, that situation is improving now, and we are seeing the non-farm sales also coming up. Yeah. So it has not reached to its normal level, of course, because still in many areas we have certain issues. But I think that situation will dramatically improve in the next 6 months or second half of the year.
Okay. That's interesting. And the second question is on the inventory. So you mentioned we have lower inventory than the industry. But can you quantify what would be inventory level for us and industry?
Yeah, it's hard to give a specific number. But normally, as you know, Scotch maintains inventory which is lower than the industry average. And that is the trend that has continued even now.
But for Scotch, would it be difficult to share inventory for your network? Industry understanding, you have the data.
So Jinesh, So see, right now we are in the middle of the peak season, and of course, in the middle of the peak season, the inventories are high. For example, on second, we have a huge festival Dhanteras, right, which is like the biggest day in the tractor industry. So, I mean, even if I give you a number, that is not going to be representative of the real situation, right? So, but I can tell you that by end of November, we will be back to our normal inventory levels of roughly between 25 to 30 days.
Okay. So currently we are well stocked for any pickup during Diwali and Dhanteras. That would be fair to say. I mean, we would not lose out because of any inventory issues.
Yeah. No, this year we have made sure that we have enough stocks. Of course, not overstock, but we have enough stocks because normally, because of our earlier constraints on capacities, etc., we tend to lose out on these peak days. But this time, we are not in that situation. So we are well stocked, but not overly stocked. As I said, of course, we have raised the stock levels, but those are not representative of the normal situation. As soon as we are out of Diwali, our stocks will be back to normal.
Sure. And my third question is regarding railways. So, considering last 12 to 18 months have been fairly subdued for railways because of COVID-related impact, would it be fair to say now we are seeing normalization of activity even in that business?
Yeah. Hi, good evening. Ankur here. So I would say that the tender have started coming up and it is better than last year, but it has still not reached the pre-COVID level. But certainly things are improving in the last 18 months, I would say. The coaches, the trains are now running at around 90% capacity. And in terms of passengers, it is hovering around 60 to 70%. So things are improving, but still to catch the pre-COVID scenario.
Okay, so we still maintain that 15% kind of a growth next year, this year and next year.
Yes, we are expecting that kind of growth.
Okay. And last question on CapEx. So, Mr. Madan, if you can touch upon that, what kind of CapEx we expect? I mean, first half was about 78 crores. Full year, we still maintain about 200 to 50 crores, considering we are already at utilization in tractors.
Yeah, so we expect, I think it'll be roughly around 250 crores this year. But let's see, I think the initial 2 months in this year obviously was a dampener, so the spend could not happen because of the second wave of COVID. So hoping everything remains normal, so we are expecting it will still be in that range, 250 plus.
Okay, great. Thanks. I'll come back in. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Gunjan Prithyani from Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my questions. I have just a follow-up firstly on the demand side. So if I understand right, what you're essentially suggesting is that it's high base and some delay in the monsoons. That's the reason for the slight shrink that you're calling in the industry growth. But generally the sentiment that we are picking up on the rural has been pretty underwhelming. So I'm just trying to understand, is it just high base or you're seeing some turn in the sentiment on the ground, on the farm side. So if you can share some thoughts around it, it will help us.
Yeah, Gunjan, this is Srini. Now, Gunjan, I think this year when we compare quarter to quarter, as I was telling Vipul, we have to just keep in mind that they are not exactly comparable because there have been very uneven or unusual circumstances last year and some this year too, right? And therefore we have to see the situation in that context. So, for example, like last fiscal year, quarter one was a degrowth, was a pretty high degrowth. And therefore, we were working on a very, very low base. While this year, there were very, very positive growth numbers, but then again, those were on last year's low base. Now, last year low base in quarter one resulted in a pent-up demand in quarter two, quarter three, and even quarter four, right? And quarter two and quarter three also witnessed some of the supply chain challenges. So therefore, we are working on a very, very high base in quarter three and four and quarter two as well. And therefore, it is very, very normal to see this negative growth in these quarters. Now, so when we see that in that context, it is really not a reflection of the rural sentiment per se, in our opinion, right? So that last year was the peak industry in tractors. Crossed 900,000, and that was roughly like 27% growth over the previous year. So we are like at comparing it against that year. So having said that, I would say that yes, there in July, August, and September there was a dent in the sentiments in the rural India, especially north, center, and east. And the reason for that was this uneven monsoon this year, right? At some point of time, we were all very, very worried whether we will have a crop year this year, right? But fortunately enough, the monsoons recovered, and then we had good rains in mid to late September, although they created a little bit of a delay in the whole cropping cycle. But now the sentiments, I feel, are back, right? I mean, we are witnessing those on the ground. People are very, very optimistic about the next crop now because the reservoir levels are up. Retail financing is very, very much available. The NPA situation is not bad at all, right? So we don't think there is anything fundamentally wrong with the rural economy right now.
Okay, got it. No, that's helpful. The other question that I had was on the margin. Now we've gotten to about 15% EBIT, and our guidance has, from what I recall, has been more like high teens. How should we think about margins? I mean, what is the kind of under recovery that is there in terms of commodity? And is there any pricing action on the anvil?
So Gunjan, on this, obviously the margin has been under pressure because of the inflation which is continuing on the commodity side. So I think there are two reasons. One is the drag which has been there and the lag effect of passing on the inflation to the market. So we're still carrying some impact, which is not yet passed on, and maybe Shani will brief you on this the proposed pricing action that we are anticipating for this quarter, to pass on that impact, which also is close to having 2.5% to 3% impact, which is because of the lag effect. Second is even the inflation which is passed on to the market, that also has a numerator denominator impact because whatever inflation has actually happened in absolute amount, only that much has been passed on to the market. So that also impacts the margin by about 2.5%. So if they both put together, I think there's an impact of about 4 to 5% sort of impact in the margin compared to last year. Even though some of the impact has been offset to the high volume base and some cost initiative that company was taking, but still, and that's a very factor right now. So the higher volumes are not really looking at the kind of margin which we expected. But we expect, I think, once this price correction happens and we're able to pass it on to the market, depending on how the competition reacts to this and at what time we pass it on. I think maybe towards the end of next quarter, when we exit the year, we expect the margin should be back to the normal level. And I'm hoping the inflation will stabilize by that time.
Okay. So under recovery is about 300.
And Gunjan, as far as So as far as the price increases are concerned, you know that this is a very, very unusual environment we are in right now. Our industry is not used to a quarterly price hike, and especially of this quantum that we have done so far. We have increased prices in November last year, then again in April, and then again in July this year. And of course, the way the inflation is panning out, we should have taken a price increase in October. Now, this October, November period is coinciding with the peak demand time, and therefore we decided that we will wait for the price increase until the season, the peak demand is over, the peak season is over. So very, very clear that there will be a significant price hike of 3-4% as soon as the season is over. We are just waiting and watching as to, as I said, there is a delay in the season, right? So normally the season would kind of taper down after end of Diwali, but I think the season will continue for a few more weeks this time. And as soon as that peak demand is over, then we will take that.
Okay, last question from my side, which we've been waiting for a pretty long time now.
Ms. Gunjan, may I request you to please rejoin the queue? We have participants waiting for the turn.
Sure, I'll get back in the queue.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Avdut Joshi from Newberry Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for the opportunity. I have just one question about the capital reduction. The hearing was going on into the NCLT and it was supposed to be heard today. I would like to know what was the outcome or what happened today actually. Hello?
See, what we came to know, even though we have not got the certified copy right now for the order, but we came to know the reduction has been approved by NCLT, but the order has been reserved. So until we get a certified copy of the order in our hand, we can't really confirm the fact. But this is the situation as of today, the fact which was brought to our knowledge.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mihir Zaveri from Aventus. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So I just have one question on the Kuboto. We keep hearing about the Kuboto investment stuff in the companies in the last 2 months. Will the management provide some inputs on this, or how do we look at it, sir? Is it happening or categorically denied? What's the stance of the management? That's my only question.
So you already responded to the stock exchanges on this, which we have said we don't comment as a policy on the speculation. So until something concrete is there, and there's no point in discussing those issues.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nitish Mangal from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Good evening. Thanks for taking my question. Could you share some light on how do you think FY23 can pan out on the tractor industry side? I mean, can it be another 10-12% kind of a growth here, or do you think FY23 will be under pressure as well?
Yeah, Nitish, this is Shenu Agarwal. It's slightly premature to answer that question. Let us see how the rest of the year pans out. But broadly speaking, as I was telling Gunjan and Vipul earlier, that we think that fundamentally the rural economy is fine. There's got some jitters in between, and maybe people are carrying that perception from July, August, and September. But we think that sentiments are fine. We think most of the macro drivers for rural economy are in place right now. The monsoons have been good. The monsoon last year had been good, right? So we had like 2 or 3 years of good monsoon now. And reservoir levels, which were dipping earlier in the year, are now back to like all-time high. There is no problem with retail financing. We have been talking to all banks and NBFCs, and they are very, very aggressive in the market right now. So we don't see any fundamental issues with the industry, and fundamentally, I mean, India is far away from saturation levels in terms of tractorization. I mean, things look bright, but as I said, maybe 4 or 5 months later, we'll like to make a confirmed estimate on next year industry level.
Sure. Thank you. And my second question is, what kind of discounting trend are you seeing in tractors? I believe last year discounting was very, very low because the top players were supply constrained. How is that changing now?
Yeah, so there has been some increase. I think we are back to kind of close to normal because right now there is no constraint on supplies. The industry is good, and therefore people are running for market shares, more penetration. Yeah, so very close to normal, not anything dramatically different.
Okay. Thank you very much for taking my questions.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nirmal Bari from Samiksha Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my question. My first question is on the quantum of price hike that we have taken in the tractor segment. If you can tell how much it was in the last 3 times.
Yeah, Nirmal, so it has been roughly, I'd say 7 to 8% that we have already taken so far, including all the 3 previous hikes starting November last year.
Okay, and this 2.5 to 3% that we are expecting to take going forward, that would suffice for whatever the cost inflation has been so far.
Yeah, so we are hoping to take roughly 3 to 4% now, which will be our, I think, the biggest price hike so far out of the last 3 and this one, and it will more or less cover inflation that we estimate up to Q3, but there are some signs that there will be some small inflation that may happen in Q4 as well. So that would still remain to be seen if it happens in Q4. But right now the estimate is it would be small.
Okay. And a couple of clarifications from the presentation. So we are saying that capacity utilization in tractors is at 90% plus. So our capacity, if I remember, it's around 1,20,000 from our own plants, and then we have about 30,000 capacity from the joint venture plant. While our manufacturing in the current quarter was about 21,000 tractors only. So this it doesn't match with the 90% numbers. So are we excluding something?
21,000 is the sales number, which is, yeah, so what you're looking at is the sales number, not the production numbers. When you look at the utilization of capacity, which is more based on the production number. So as you know, there's an inventory buildup which has happened in this quarter for the festive season. So when you reflect the capacity, they're talking about only the standalone Escorts Limited capacity, not counting the JV capacity into this. So it's basically based on 120,000 capacity, which is for the company, for Escort. And this is based on the production number, utilization, not based on the sales number.
Okay. Okay. And for the 30,000 capacity that we have with in the JV, would we start utilizing that going forward, or?
Yeah, we have plans to start utilizing that from. Yeah, we have plans to start utilizing that from hopefully from next quarter, which is quarter 4 of this fiscal.
Okay. And this the ratio of less than 40 HP to more than 40 HP is 40 to 60. Is that correct? So less than 40 HP forms 40% of the total volume for us?
Yeah, that is right. So I think Bharat mentioned in his opening comments that 2 years ago we were roughly 47% in greater than 40 HP, while industry was roughly 54%. But now in H1 of this fiscal year, we are at 61%, which is almost same as industry. So we have really caught up on 40 plus HP sales in the last 2 years.
Okay. And one last question on the railways division. So there you said that the tendering activity has picked up, but our overall order book has come down because since we have also recorded good revenues. So is the tendering activity sufficient that the order book going forward will start seeing growth as well?
to keep in line with our target of 15% growth? Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Ankudev here. So we expect as the tendering processes increase in Q2, it will further increase in Q3 and further in Q4. So we are quite hopeful that we will be able to achieve this kind of growth. Because even with the highest ever quarterly revenue, our order book is almost equal to Q1 end. We hope that we will be able to achieve this growth.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Joseph George from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I have a couple of questions. One is, when I look at your P&L, there is inventory adjustment of about 350 crores. I guess that's because your production this quarter was much higher compared to the sales. And 350 crores is a fairly big number when I look at your revenues of 360 crores. So I want to understand how much did this adjustment benefit gross margin in this quarter?
Your voice was a bit unclear. Can you please repeat your query?
Yeah, I'll just repeat it. So when I look at your P&L, there is an inventory adjustment of close to 350 crores, which is a fairly significant number in the context of 1,600 crores revenue. I guess it's because this quarter your production was much higher than sales. And typically when this happens, there's a benefit on the gross margin as you stated in the past. So I want to understand in this quarter how much will gross margin benefit because of this?
The better absorption of overhead, so I think this will be close to 25 to 30 crores impact.
Okay, so 25-30 crores of gross margin benefit because of the overhead.
Yeah, that's right.
Understood. And so the second question was, in the context of 3Q, do you expect further RM pressure in 3Q? So are you seeing an increase in the raw material basket going into 3Q compared to 2Q?
Joseph, I'm not sure whether if I heard you right, but are you asking about any further impact on raw material inflation?
That's correct. So are you seeing any further inflation impact in 3Q compared to 2Q?
Bharat, I can't hear him well. If you can you answer that?
So I believe what he's asking is there any further inflation which may come after Q2? Right, Joseph?
Correct. That's right, sir.
Yeah. So okay. So as I explained earlier, there is some inflation that is expected in Q3, although not to the levels of inflation that we have seen in Q1 and Q2. So it is right now kind of tapering down. And we are also expecting some inflation in Q3 as well, which we will pass on in Q4. Right. So, but that would be right now our estimate is that will be an insignificant amount. But I mean, we have always been proved wrong on estimating inflation. So let us just see how it goes.
Great, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to one per participant. The next question is from the line of Kishan Gupta from CD Equisearch Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening. Hello.
Hello, Kishan.
Yeah, hi. So essentially we want to understand what is... Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes. So essentially we want to understand what is the management rationale of housing these three businesses in one company? Because they are related.
Well, this is the legacy I think what company has. So between construction equipment and tractor business, there's still a back end which is common. So operation-wise, I think there are a lot of commonality which exists, including the use of some of the aggregates like engines and transmission. On the railway, we do agree. I think that's a business where the synergies, at least with the other two businesses, are not really there. But unfortunately, that has been the legacy which the company is carrying, and we will look into the way.
Hello.
Sorry to
Hello.
interrupt.
Yeah, I think the business goes to Marriott and.
So we were not able to hear you. You may please go ahead now.
Bharat, can you repeat what you just said?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, probably. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I think maybe some internet problem. No, what I was saying was, obviously, this is a legacy what the company has. So we had multiple businesses at one time within this entity, and as you know, we also exited from our other non-core businesses, including the auto component business, which was there in this company. So right now, we are left with these three businesses. And between construction equipment and tractors, there's still a lot of synergy, especially on the back-end side. With the operation-wise, many commonalities which are there, including the aggregates which are being used, like engine and transmission. On the railway side, yes, we do agree, and there's synergies between the existing two business and that business is not much. But since the scale of the business is not very high, so that's why this was continuing to be under this company. I think once you really reach the levels what we are aspiring for, maybe we can actually explore, if there's a merit in considering whether we can house this under the separate subsidiary. But as of now, the scale is low. But yes, the way we are looking at this business for railway, looks like that's the one possibility which can happen.
Because the concern is like essentially because the valuation tends to improve when you have more focused businesses. So can we expect this sometime, maybe in the near future or a medium term? This hiving off into
difficult to put a timeline to that. Difficult to put a timeline, like you said, for separating a business, there should also be a reasonable scale for that business to grow. And also, I think in the past, since some of the business were actually loss-making, so tax perspective-wise, it was making sense to contain in the same entity. And land and construction segment, and now the margins are not very high, so they're still in the single-digit range and at a very low single-digit active. Is reasonable where they can actually run independently, then.
We cannot hear the management, sir. Hello?
No.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bharat, we had lost you again, but I think you were quite audible until the end. So we can maybe go to the next question now.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Jain from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Sir, what is the outlook for the export side? What is the medium-term volume target? And are you looking for some contract manufacturing opportunity as well? Hello?
No, Abhishek, Abhishek, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. So no, we are not looking at any contract manufacturing opportunity as such. But you know that we have a partnership with Kubota now since last few quarters, and we do intend to utilize Kubota's global network to enhance our exports volume. Right. So some of our products would be going to their network, and that is like one area of or one lever of growth for our exports. But exports overall, yes, we are very optimistic. As we have seen in last 3-4 years, we have been able to scale our volume substantially. And we still are not among the top exporters out of India, tractor exporters. So there is still a lot of headroom available. We have been investing huge amounts of money in R&D to develop new products specifically for the export markets. And many of those are in the market now, and many more are on the anvil. Right? So overall, yes, very optimistic on exports.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Jain from Macquarie. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening. So my question is on market share. So, earlier, as in, at the start of the year, you were guiding for, some gains in market share, something that you had lost last year because of supply chain issues. Now, on the contrary, first half, because of not being, more subdued, we actually have lost market share. So, the recovery that you're talking about or you're seeing, is it kind of more tilted towards north, east and all? And should we think that we are kind of looking to gain 100 basis points or more of market share in the latter half of the year?
Yeah, Ashish, thank you for that question. This is Shenu, and as I was explaining earlier in the call, we are a very, very unique company in the way our market shares are distributed in different parts of the country. I think there is no one like us in that sense. So we are very skewed in terms of our market share penetration. North, center, and east, we have markets or states where our market share is even more than 15-16%. And there are some areas in south and west where our market share is as low as 5% also. So that presents a little bit of a challenge to us, because whenever the market grows more in our weaker areas, our all India or total market share does not look very, very good, right? So we are going through that phase in the last 18 months, and that was the reason, or one of the reasons, we lost slightly last year also. And that is the same reason that we have lost in H1 slightly again. Now, this situation, of course, is going to correct itself, I hope soon, and then you will start seeing the gain. But if you really want to kind of make a judgment on our real market share growth or real growth as to our market penetration is concerned, then I request you look at state-wise data, and then you will see that out of 16 major states where tractor industry resides, we have grown market share in 13 of those. Right? So the only 3 that we have lost is Maharashtra, Haryana, and Punjab. And we know the reasons why. There is some restructuring that we are doing. For example, in Maharashtra, we are separating our distribution now between Powertrac and Farmtrac brands. And whenever we do that, we face a little bit of a challenge in terms of maintaining market share. Right? So yeah, but that is kind of, I think, a good thing for us for future. So now will also be back on track in the other markets. But we are growing in almost every state, and we'll continue to do that. As soon as the south and west situation normalizes, then of course all India or overall market share will also start looking good.
So my question was more in context of the growth optimism, or at least in the next 2-3 months, the festive season demand that we're talking about. Is that more tilted towards any specific region or regions, and should that make us a bit more optimistic about gaining market share in the latter half of the year, or it is again skewed towards southwest?
So Ashish, that is also true that these festivals are majorly North and Central India, Eastern India festivals, and therefore if these festivals do well, then the demand comes in these festive season, then we will be benefited because of our strong base in North, Central, and East. So yes, that tilt will change now with this festive season.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chirag Jain from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Sir, I have a follow-up question on the Kubota side. So 2 questions over there. One, on this speculation of Kubota increasing stake, how should we think at promoters holding in the company? Because it is at reasonable levels of 36%. How low is promoter comfortable with 36%, or they would like to have more? That is my first question. Because if Kubota has to buy more in the company, somebody will have to sacrifice the holding, either all of us as a shareholders, or maybe promoter will have to dilute. So what is the comfortable level of shareholding that promoter thinks for the business? That is my first question.
So I not understood your question, Chirag. So I think the promoters comfortable surely, if the answer is yes, the 36% they are comfortable.
So they are okay diluting the stake from here on, or they or not? That's my question.
No, but I already mentioned that this is all speculation and we don't comment on the speculation. And it's been going on for so many months, we already clarified to stock exchanges. So I'm not sure where you're coming from now.
So second question was on the technology side. If you can share some updates between you and Kubota, has there been any further discussions on how to integrate the technology or how to share the best practices? If you can share some light on that, and when will we start implementing that in product development program?
Yeah, this is Shenu. So as we have been saying that a lot of things are in works with Kubota as far as joint technology and product development is concerned. So that program, we are planning a few products that will jointly develop for India and global markets. Yeah, so as soon as we are ready with those plans, we would update you.
And so generally, what is the development plan that you should assume? Is it a 3-year cycle, or once you decide, it could happen in a short span of 12 to 18 months? So if you can just help educate us on this, it would be helpful.
Yeah, it varies. I mean, there is no standard answer to that. It really depends on what kind of product we want to make and whether we have existing aggregates that we can use for that. For example, like existing engine or existing transmission. If that is the case, then the product development cycle would be roughly between 12 to 18 months. But if we have to develop something from scratch, then it would be more. It would be more like 36 to 40 months. But really, I mean, that is just a broad direction. It really depends on what kind of products do we want to make, right? So broadly speaking, you can say major product changes would require 3 years, and some minor product changes based on existing aggregates would require a year or a year and a half.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being present on this call. For any feedback and queries,
Thank you. On behalf of Emkay Global Financial Services, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.